Happy hump day. Thanks for joining us as always. And honestly, I appreciate all the love regarding the addition of the Locked On Patriots podcast to the old resume. Head on over, check it out if you haven't yet. But I appreciate all the kind words that many of you have sent my way since I started doing that Locked On Patriots podcast. But here we are, Everything Pats, live stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday on YouTube, a New England Patriots podcast. Appreciate every single one of you jumping in on this hump day. It looks like right now, April 9th, 3 o'clock Eastern time, it certainly looks like both Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter will not be there at number 4. That's what it feels like. Now, of course, these things can change. These things can, quote unquote, shift, to use a Adam Schefter word. But right now, it doesn't seem likely that Carter or Hunter are there at 4 for the Patriots. So, of course, the next best option, as many of us would say, is to trade. I think you would agree with that. I would agree with that. Try to trade down from 4, not drop down too far, but make that deal back, pick up some extra draft capital, find somebody you like, love at, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever the pick is, and then use those extra picks later on in the draft to move around and add more talent to the roster. That's the hope. The trade, if you can't get Hunter, if you can't get Carter, the hope is to go out there and find a trade partner. And somebody who can help that is Shedeur Sanders. Sanders could provide the Patriots an excellent draft night option. Sanders, of course, if Hunter and Carter are both gone by 4, that tells us Sanders has not been drafted yet, right? Cam Ward is going to go number 1 at Tennessee. So if Hunter, Carter, both gone, Sanders is sitting there at number 4. The Patriots aren't going to draft Sanders at number 4. So you look at the quarterback needy teams across the league, not including Cleveland, not including the Giants, because they have already hypothetically passed on Sanders in this example, right? So you don't worry about Cleveland. You don't worry about the Giants. You look at the next set of teams that are quarterback needy, and you start at Vegas with the number 6 pick. You move on from Vegas, you go to the Jets at number 7. You go from the Jets to the Saints at number 9. And then you can go all the way down from 9 to 21 with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't think the Patriots would make a trade with the Jets. I don't think the Patriots would hand Shedeur Sanders over to the Jets and give them a possible fit into the future at the quarterback position. I think the Patriots love the idea of the Jets being stuck with Justin Fields. Why would you help them try to solve their long-term problem at the most critical position in the league? So I don't really look at the Jets as a possibility when we talk about draft night trades. So wipe them off. Let's forget about the Jets for now, right? So let's look at Vegas at number 6. Let's look at the Saints at number 9. And let's look at the Steelers at number 21. Those teams are looking at Shedeur Sanders. They're evaluating him right now. They're having conversations. And there's no doubt that Sanders is a polarizing prospect in this year's draft. Jeremy Fowler had a fantastic write-up on the most polarizing prospects in the draft this year. He talked to a number of scouts and high-ranking officials and front offices, and he spoke to all of these people around the league to gather information and quotes about some of the most polarizing players. And Sanders, of course, was on that list. Here's what Fowler wrote about Shedeur Sanders. To illustrate the mixed opinions on Sanders, ESPN asked 6 high-level personnel evaluators whether they had a first-round grade on Sanders. 4 out of the 6 said no. 2 said yes. The 2 who had a first-round grade on Sanders said that he's a mid to late first-round talent. Fowler continues to write, the concern is more about the ability. Questions about upside abound. One executive said Sanders' ceiling is probably Kirk Cousins or a Baker Mayfield with less arm strength. Quite good, not quite elite. There's that word, right? We said elite so many times as part of the NFL conversation going back like 10, 12, 14 years ago. Joe Flacco, Eli Manning, everybody was talking about elite. Is that person elite? Are they not elite? Here's what an AFC executive said about Sanders and taking him in the top 10. Quote, if it was me, I couldn't do that. So an AFC executive said, Oh, Sanders in the top 10? Yeah. If I'm making that pick, I'm not picking Sanders. There's no way I'm drafting him in the top 10. He continued to say, quote, not a great athlete, not big, not strong, undisciplined game, comes with scrutiny. Is he going to be good enough? Unquote. One comparison for Sanders from an NFC personnel man was Teddy Bridgewater. Let me ask you, would you draft Teddy Bridgewater in the top 10? I don't think anybody would draft Bridgewater in the top 10 of any draft. Here's what the personnel man said, quote, fringe starter who makes good decisions and does some good things, but won't get you over the top. So a game manager almost, right? Sounds like almost a game manager, according to that personnel executive. So you look around and the opinions on Sanders, they're pretty much all over the place. A couple of people that Fowler spoke to said he's a first-round talent, but more mid to late first round. 3 or 4 other executives said that Sanders is not a first-round pick. He's a fringe kind of guy. He doesn't have anything special within his game or about him. And what I say to that is, it only takes one. It only takes one team to fall in love with Shedeur Sanders. Is that happening? I don't know. But it only takes one GM. It only takes one owner. It only takes one head coach or offensive coordinator to sell the organization on the fact that this is the guy in front of us. It only takes one team to fall in love with Sanders. You don't need 25 teams to fall in love with the guy. And let's not forget that a number of these executives that are having conversations, they have their own thoughts about what a quarterback looks like, how that quarterback plays. Let's not forget that if you already have a quarterback, I think you inherently compare Sanders to the guy that you have on your team right now. So if you are a team that has a top 10 quarterback, you're going to look at Sanders and say, that guy's not even close. He's not even close to the guy that we've got. But it only takes one team to fall in love. And we've seen this throughout the history of the league. We talk about this every year. Is this quarterback going to go this high? How can the quarterback go that high? He's not worth a top 10 pick. He's not worth a first round pick. He's not worth a top 5 pick. But almost every single year, you have a quarterback that's drafted higher than people think he should be drafted. A quarterback gets drafted higher than what is expected throughout the football world. And that could happen again this year, and it could happen with Shedeur Sanders because quarterback reaches in the draft happen, and they happen a lot. We've seen it time and time again. You have a coach, you have a head coach, you have a coordinator, you have a GM trying to save their job. They want job security, so they draft a quarterback. And even if that quarterback is a quote-unquote game manager in year one, that GM or head coach or OC, they can sell the idea of the future, right? Oh, okay, it was his rookie year. We took care of him. He was a game manager in year one, but can't wait to see him in year 2. Wait until this guy explodes year 3. So job security makes teams desperate. Desperate teams tend to reach when you talk about the quarterback position, and you only need one of those teams to feel like they have to reach and get their guy, and their guy is Shedeur Sanders. Now, what could Sanders' top 30 visits tell us? It's coming up in a minute, but don't forget to help a brother out. Click that thumbs up button as you watch us on YouTube. Don't forget. Click that like button. More likes means more eyeballs for us. Help us with the algorithm. Don't forget to throw a comment in. Do you think Shedeur Sanders goes in the top 10? Do you think Shedeur Sanders will help the Patriots on draft night? Patriots might find the opportunity to trade that 4th pick to a team that wants Sanders. How do you feel about it? How do you feel about the quarterbacks? Like, comment, and subscribe. Here's the good news. We're like 30 subscribers away from hitting our goal. 2 weeks from tomorrow night will be the NFL draft. We're going live. We're going live before the draft. We're going to go live after the pick is made, right here on this live stream, right here on Everything Pats. I want to hit 6,500 subscribers by the beginning of that night. We're 30 away. You can help us out. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to comment. Don't forget to subscribe. And, of course, Spotify, Apple Pods, friends, rate and review. 5-star reviews are awesome. And you could also follow the program. I appreciate every single one of you. So while you're liking and commenting and subscribing, I'll tell you about what Shedeur's been doing. Shedeur's been traveling around the country. Jordan Schultz last night tweeted, the Steelers remain very interested in Aaron Rodgers. Give me a freaking break. Can we stop talking about Aaron Rodgers? Pooper, get off the pot, Aaron. The Steelers remain very interested in Aaron Rodgers, and the hope is an agreement eventually happens. But Pittsburgh has done extensive work on this year's quarterback class, and Shedeur Sanders is now scheduled to be in the building on Thursday. Now, I first read that, and I said, oh, man, that's not good. That is not good. Because if Sanders is taking a visit to the Steelers, that should tell us that Sanders, his representation, they're not too confident he's going in the top 5 or he's going in the top 10, right? Why would you visit a team that's drafting 21st overall if you felt like you had a commitment from a top 10 team in the draft? It wouldn't make much sense. So my initial read on that tweet from Schultz was, this isn't good. If Sanders is taking that visit to Pittsburgh, this isn't good, because that tells us what his value is right now in this draft. But then I saw Schultz tweet this out, that Sanders is scheduled to visit the Raiders early next week. And of course, the Raiders have the 6th pick in the draft. So really, when you look at it from 30,000 feet, it's just all of these teams that need quarterbacks, future quarterbacks. They're all having these conversations. They're all having these meetings with Sanders. They want to check his character. They want to check his football IQ. And some of them, I'm sure, some of these teams, I'm sure, are just checking the box. But some of these teams that are having Sanders in for a meeting, a top 30 visit, they have legitimate interest. We know that Sanders has talked to Cleveland. We know that Sanders has talked to New York. Again, it looks like it's very unlikely that Sanders will go to either of those two teams right now as we talk about it. But could he go to the Raiders at 6? Could he go to the Saints at 9? Could he fall all the way to the Steelers at number 21? Here's my thought. It only takes one. And if that one team is behind the Saints, who draft at number 9, and that one team is concerned about the Saints drafting Shedeur Sanders, then it's at least possible that you could find a team that wants to leapfrog the Saints to pick the quarterback, right? Now, I don't think you want to move all the way back to 21 with the Steelers, but you could use that as leverage. If the Steelers want Shedeur Sanders, they say to themselves, we'll draft Aaron Rodgers. We'll sign Aaron Rodgers, rather. We'll sign him to a 1-year deal, and then we'll draft Shedeur Sanders. And once Rodgers is done, we replace him with Sanders. There is our future quarterback, our future QB1, right? Let's say that that's what the Steelers want to do. The Steelers, if they want to leapfrog the Saints, that makes them desperate. They get on the phone. They call all the teams ahead of the Saints. What if those teams don't want to go back to 21? What if the Patriots play the game and say they're at least entertaining the idea of going all the way down to 21? Now you get the Saints involved, right? Because if the Saints truly believe that the Steelers could leapfrog them, the Saints get more aggressive. Now you get the Saints on the phone, and you tell the Saints, we've got a deal here with the Steelers. We're very close on saying yes to this deal. Do you want to move up to 4? And you could put the Saints over a barrel if the Saints love Sanders, because the Saints would then be concerned that another team is going to leapfrog them into the Patriots spot, and they don't want that to happen because they don't want to swing and miss on a quarterback. So this is how you use it as leverage, right? So even if the Patriots don't want to go all the way down to 21, they could use the Steelers as leverage against the Saints to try to bring urgency to the Saints to believe that the Saints have to move up. Because if the Saints believe they don't have to move up, then they're just going to stick and pick at 9, right? The Saints will look at it and they'll say, well, our intel tells us that none of the teams in front of us want to draft Sanders. And if the Raiders don't want Sanders, if the Jets don't want Sanders, we're fine sitting here at 9, and we'll just draft Shedeur Sanders at number 9. So you've got to make the Saints feel like they have to move up. And the only way you can do that is by creating the leverage and make them believe that another team is interested. And maybe another team is interested. Maybe the Jets are interested, and you don't want to deal with the Jets because of what I said a few moments ago. But maybe you tell the Saints the Jets are interested, and now the Saints feel the urgency to get ahead of the Jets in the draft to draft Sanders. You could do the same thing with the Raiders. You can tell the Saints that the Raiders are calling you about Sanders, or they want to move up to the 4th pick. Get the Saints thinking that the Raiders want Sanders. And because they want Sanders, they want to secure him, so they want to move up to the 4th spot. If you can create that urgency within the Saints front office, the Saints, Mickey Loomis has never been afraid of moving picks and moving up. So if you could get the Saints feeling like Sanders could be gone by number 9, that could create the urgency you need to create to have the Saints make a deal with you. Now, what would that trade look like? What would a possible Saints trade look like? Mina Kimes had Dane Brugler on her podcast recently. Love Mina Kimes, think she's fantastic. And Mina did some legwork on this, and she compared it to the Josh Allen trade. The Saints moving from 9 to 4. Here was what Mina Kimes came up with as a framework. The Saints would send the 9th pick, swap it with 4. They would also send the Patriots a 2nd-round pick, which is number 40. They would send a 3rd-round pick to the Patriots. The Saints have 2 of those. And they would also send a 2026 2nd-round pick. So Mina Kimes, that's the framework that Mina came up with looking at the Josh Allen trade. For the Saints to go from 9 to 4, she had the Saints offering the Patriots a swap of 4 and 9, obviously, a 2nd-round pick, which is number 40, one of their 2 3rd-round picks this year, which is either 71 or 93, and a 2026 2nd-round pick. So what would that look like? What would that look like if you made that deal with New Orleans? What would the draft capital be for the Patriots based on that Josh Allen trade? Here's what the Patriots would have. If you could force New Orleans to feel that urgency and want to move up to draft Sanders, here's what your draft capital would look like based on the parameters of Mina Kimes. The Patriots would have the 9th pick in the draft, and then they would have pick 38 and pick 40. Now think about what you could do with 38 and 40. You can do a whole bunch of different things if you have pick 38 and 40 in the 2nd round. You can move 38 and a 3rd-round pick and move back into the 1st, and you still have a 2nd-round pick left, only 2 spots behind that 38. You can move 38 and 40 to make a major move up if you wanted to try to do that. I mean, there's a lot of fluidity within your draft if you've got 9, 38, and 40. You can do a number of different things. You can stick and pick and just say, no, we love the 2nd-round talent in this draft, and we think we're going to find 2 starters at 38 and 40. And we could walk away from the draft with our first 3 picks at 9, 38, and 40 being 3 starters for us in 2025 to go along with the free agency class we just signed. So you'd have pick 9, pick 38, and pick 40, but you wouldn't be done, obviously. You would still have pick 69. You would have one of the 2 3rd-round picks from the Saints, which would either be 71 or 93. I would imagine the Saints would try to sell you on 93. And you would also still have your 77th pick. So you would end up, if you're the Patriots, you would end up with the 9th pick overall. You'd have 38 and 40, so 2 2nd-round picks. You'd have 3 picks in the top 40. And you would also have not 1, not 2, but 3 3rd-round picks. And if you want to talk about rebuilding a roster, you want to talk about infusing the roster with young talent, I mean, you could do it with that deal. But can you create enough urgency? Do enough teams feel like Sanders is the guy? Because if they do, you can play those teams against each other, try to force the hand of the Saints to move up from 9 to 4, and you could walk away with something close to what Mina Kimes described as that Josh Allen trade package. I mean, if Hunter and Carter are not there, how would you not love that trade? You stay in the top 10. You pick up the 40th pick in the draft, so now you're 9, 38, and 40. You pick up another 3rd-round pick, so now you have 3 3rd-round picks, which means you could trade 2 of them to move up into the 2nd round. I mean, we're talking about major, major damage if you play the cards right. And you would also have a 2nd-round pick next year from New Orleans. And New Orleans probably is not going to be very good. I mean, I know their division stinks, but they're still not going to be great. Well, stinks is probably strong. I mean, at least you do have the Falcons, and the Panthers played a little bit better towards the end of the year, but you get the point. Now, that's a trade I think fans would get behind, right? If there's no Carter, there's no Hunter, that's the kind of trade that you pull off. That's the kind of trade you pull the trigger on and you say, we just made a heck of a deal. And when we look back at the 2025 NFL draft, if we pick the right guys, we're going to look back at that draft and say, that's really when the change happened. That's when the Mike Vrabel era took over, and that's when we started to see the future. Free agency was great, but man, they wheeled and dealed during the draft. They found a bunch of young talent. They brought them in, and the program was on its way to being rebuilt at that point to go along with Drake May and Christian Gonzalez and fingers crossed Christian Barmore. That's the type of trade. But you need a team to fall in love with Sanders, and you need to play the poker game as well as you can, play those teams against each other, and make a move when the move is there. All right. I want to talk about Harold Landry and what Landry said about Mike Vrabel to the media yesterday that jumped out at me. There was one comment that Landry made that was significant. I have the highest expectations for Mike Vrabel's coaching acumen this year, right? We've talked about Mike Vrabel, what he did in Tennessee, and how he got the most out of that football team. And we talk about strategy. We talk about situational football. He just has a very, very high IQ, and he understands what needs to be done to win certain football games. And this is what Landry told the media yesterday with the team showing up for voluntary workouts. Quote, I feel like one of the main jobs for a head coach is to make sure your team's prepared situationally. And all I know is, as long as I played for Vrabes, there was never a situation I wasn't prepared for. Landry's been in the league for a while, right? He's played for different coaches. And he said, all I know is as long as I played for Vrabes, there was never a situation that I wasn't prepared for. And I just kept going over that quote in my head over and over and over again, and how that can dramatically change a team. When a head coach is ready for any situation, that makes that team pretty dangerous, right? Like, you have the ability to keep games close, games that you shouldn't be in. You're in those games because your coaching staff was ready for everything. And that's why they say when he was in Tennessee with a bad quarterback situation after the first couple of years of Tannehill, when Tannehill actually had a pretty good start to his Titans career, but as we know, he faded, and the quarterback position was an absolute disaster for the Titans over the last couple of years for Vrabel, to go along with just a million different injuries. But people would talk about Vrabel, they say he gets the most out of that Titans team. And this is why. Because a lot of NFL games are decided by 3 points, 6 points. And if your coaching staff is good enough and prepared enough, and they know how to attack a team, they know how that team wants to attack you. When you have the situational football figured out, then you can make really any game close for the most part. Yeah, you're going to get mollywopped every once in a while, but a lot of games are 3 points, 6 points. That's what they are. And when you have a staff that's ahead, that means you've got a better chance of hanging around. You're in that kind of game when you're down by 3 points, you're down by 6 points in the fourth quarter, and you're looking around saying, I have no idea how they're that close in this game. They have no right being within one score. It's because your coaching staff is doing a really good job and you haven't turned the football over. That's mostly the case. So the ability to keep games close, Vrabel's intelligence at the head coaching spot allows you to do that. It also gives you the ability to win those close games. Those games decided by 3 points and 6 points, right? Think about the Patriots last year. The roster wasn't very good, but they were in a number of different games, but they just could not execute, and it wasn't coached well enough. I mean, we don't have to go through the autopsies. We had enough autopsies during the 2024 season to make me sick. But you could just look at the Seattle game, for example, and say they could have won that game. And you could argue they should have won that game. And with a better coaching staff, they would have beat the Seahawks. So those one-score games, you have the ability to keep games close, and you have the ability to win close games when your coach is the type of head coach that Vrabel is, ready for almost every single solitary situation he's going to see. Nothing is going to surprise him. More often than not, he's going to surprise the opposition. And then you really think about it, because those close games, those 3-point games, those 6-point games, if you can stay close and you can win some of those games that you've lost the last couple of years. And of course, I would say 2023 was more about Mac Jones and the quarterback than it was about Belichick losing those one-score games, but Belichick had his hand in it. We had autopsies in 2023 as well on this podcast. If you could win those close games, even if it's just 2 of those, right? If you could just win 2 to 3 of those close games that you would have lost if you didn't have as good of a coaching staff, now you go from a 6-win, 7-win team to a 9-win team. And it's such a huge difference. I said this months ago when the Patriots hired Vrabel. A lot of people look at Mike Vrabel and his time in Tennessee. A lot of them look at Vrabel and say, yeah, he's a good coach, but he took over a playoff team. He took over a team that had 9 wins. And I will say this, for the rest of my time on this earth, there's a huge difference between a team in the NFL that wins 9 games and then can win 12 games. A very good head coach can make the difference between you winning 9 or 10 games and getting you to that 12-win mark. A very good head coach and a good coaching staff can turn a team that is competitive into a team that is borderline or straight up contending. A very good head coach can take a team that can slide backdoor into the playoffs, take that team to an AFC championship game. Those are the margins that we're talking about. So don't just treat it as, 2 or 3 more wins. Those 2 or 3 more wins are gigantic. You have 5 contending teams pretty much every year, and you've got 5 terrible teams pretty much every year. The other 22 teams stacked in the middle, the meat in the sandwich, the difference between winning 7 games, 8 games, and 10 games, 11 games, you cannot overlook that. And some people do. Some people say, well, he took a 9-win team. He took a playoff team to the playoffs. Big deal. Whoopity-doo. No, he didn't just take a playoff team to the playoffs. He improved a playoff team and made them a contender. That's a different world. And that matters. And how do you do that? How do you take a team that's a 6 or 7-win team and get them to 9, 10 wins? Maybe even 11, right? I'm not saying this Patriots team's going to win 11 games. I'm just saying Team X. How do you take Team X that won 6 or 7 games and make them a 10-win team, 9 or 10-win team? Of course, you got to add talent, but the coaching difference can get you that extra couple of games. So that's what I see in Vrabel. I believe, who knows? We'll never know. But I believe if Mike Vrabel was the coach last year, the Patriots have 6 or 7 wins. I believe that with every fiber of my being. I think they have at least 6 wins, maybe 7 wins, given how those games played out. But of course, they finished with 4, which for draft purposes is a good thing. It could have been better, as we all know. But that's the difference. And when you have somebody like Harold Landry, a veteran, saying, all I know is as long as I played for Vrabes, there was never a situation that I wasn't prepared for. When you have somebody saying that, it's just a reputation and the credibility, right? It's the reputation of Vrabel. It brings him instant credibility when he walks into that locker room. He's going to have a bunch of guys that have never played for him before in 2025 playing for him. But he's going to earn that immediate reputation and credibility because word gets around. These players know that Vrabel is ahead of the curve. They understand that he has his team ready for almost every single solitary situation that he faces on a Sunday or a Thursday night or a Saturday or a Monday night or a Sunday night, or the NFL plays pretty much all week now. So that brings that credibility, it brings that reputation, and he walks right into the room and you feel confident. You feel confident that that guy knows what he's talking about, that that guy understands what the football team needs to do. And when you have that confidence, when you feel like your coach is reputable, when you feel like your coach is credible, that means that you get buy-in. Dudes buy in. The money helped, but Milton Williams brought it up, right? The buy-in. Morgan Moses brought it up. Robert Spillane, Carlton Davis, these guys talked to Vrabel. And they believe that Mike Vrabel is a good head coach to go along with his really good NFL playing career. So it matters. It matters when players believe that the coach can make a difference, because not only do they believe the coach can make a difference for the team, but if the team is playing better, that likely means that you're playing better. And if Vrabel can get you to play better, that means you're going to make more money at the end of the day. All of that is linked. All of it matters. It is a recruiting tool. You go out there, if you're Vrabel, and players talk like they talk about him to other players, that is a recruiting tool. Now, of course, as I said a couple of moments ago, this all means a lot less how good Vrabel is and how good the coaching staff is. It means less if you don't have the talent. You still have to put talent on the football field. You can't go out there with a bunch of mediocrity and expect to win 10, 11 games. They've got to continue to add talent. They added talent during free agency, and now they've got to add talent during the draft. And hopefully Shedeur Sanders has somebody sending him a Hallmark card the night before the draft and wants to move up to number 4 if Carter and Hunter aren't there. And the Patriots take advantage of that. Don't forget to click that thumbs up. Help us out as you watch us on YouTube. If you enjoy the content, I appreciate every single one of you that watch this podcast, whether it's live or whether it's on demand. Those who listen to the pod, I appreciate every single one of you. Those who have also jumped in on the Locked On Patriots podcast that I am now hosting Monday through Friday, I appreciate all of you as well. Don't forget to click that thumbs up. It helps us. Don't forget to throw a comment in. That helps us. I see a bunch of comments today being thrown in. A lot of people talking about the draft. A lot of people. So I appreciate all those comments. Keep them coming. And don't forget to subscribe. We're now 30 subscribers away from our goal on draft night of 6,500 subscribers. Locked On coming your way tomorrow. Some Will Campbell talk on Locked On tomorrow. I am, of course, back here on the live stream Friday at 3 p.m. right here on YouTube. Until then, have a great rest of your hump day. Talk to you soon. Peace.